Welcome back to Comic Book ASMR. Today we're going to be looking at this brand new book that came out. So this is the Uncanny X-Men trading cards, all cards illustrated by Jim Lee. So this collects the, I believe, 1992 card series, and it does more than just shows off the cards, which I didn't know when I pre-ordered this. So if you'll notice, it's got like the classic Magneto image here. What's cool is you can take this off the dust jacket. It's got a poster on the inside of it here. And I'll set this aside. And then in the back, it's actually got 4 additional cards. It's got 3 cards that link up the iconic X-Men #1 cover. And then there's a small card reproducing the entire image of the puzzle cards that all link together, the Danger Room sequence from the card set. So yeah, and then the cover under the dust jacket is the other box they had of the cards. And yeah, I never had these as a kid, so this was actually really great for me to be able to get this and enjoy this. So yeah, here's the card box. And the thing I love about this book is it pretty much showcases every bit of media involving these cards, as you'll see. So it starts with a foreword by Ed Piskor, who's just basically talking about, like, you know, his experience with the cards whenever they came out. And so that's fun. And then it talks about the history of, like, how the cards were made and stuff, how, you know, what got it going exactly. So right here is some original art. This is card number 137 of Magneto here, it looks like. And what made this set unique is the fact that this was all just Jim Lee's pencil and ink work. He didn't have his normal inker on it. So actually what you see on the cards is more Jim Lee's true vision as opposed to a slight polish by his inker. So here's one of the in-house trading card ads. And yeah, so this is talking about them responding to the market, the success of trading cards at the time. And I love this shot. I hope we get the other card sets, the other Marvel Universe card sets. I'll leave a link below to ASMR for Nerds. He did some great videos with these, as well as ASMR Retro, I believe. So I'll hunt down those videos and leave those links below. Those two guys are great. ASMR for Nerds really doesn't do anything anymore, but ASMR Retro sure does. So yeah, I hope that they make more of these card books like this. These I absolutely love. I have a Star Wars one of these that I got a while back too. And so this is just like, I think this is the response after the Series 2 Universe cards that came out. And so they're figuring out what to do. And so the X-Men card set was like the 3rd set that Impel put out, followed closely by the Marvel Masterpiece cards. And so that's what it's talking about, is how basically, like, they had to go and get permission from Jim Lee's editor at the time and say, hey, can he work on these while he is simultaneously working on his X-Men stuff he's got going on? And so they said, yeah, they think that's a great idea. Jim Lee's pretty much synonymous with the X-Men brand at this point. And yeah, so they went ahead and greenlit it. And then Jim Lee says, man, it was a lot of work. He's like, I kind of wish that I didn't say yes, but I'm glad I did, because the cards are so great. And so here we see a bit of the process here. So they kind of had like an overlay here. So we see acetate transfer of original artwork by Jim Lee for card number 5, Phoenix. Top right is the final color by Paul Mounts, and then they splice them together here. Bottom acetate and final color art combined. So you get this image, meld them together. You get this one right here. So yeah, just kind of cool. And then this is like their promo stuff that they sent out to comic shops to get the word out. But as we all know, at that time, the X-Men were crazy popular. They sent out little sampler packs of 4 or 5 cards, 5 cards. And actually, some of the printing is different on these cards because they were samples. So there is a bit of a higher demand for those since they are unique. So check out and see if you have them, and just kind of a cool little side. And then here's like the comparison between the cards here. I don't know which one is the original, which one is the later set released one, but some of the information is different. And even so, like, a lot of the character write-ups are broad because they're still trying to learn about these characters. Yeah, too, I love how the book kind of shows off other stuff that was going on at the time. They did insert some of these cards into other products. I remember the ones that were in the action figures, but I think they were just totally random. Like, this one doesn't have a Wolverine card with the Wolverine toy. That would have been awesome. And then there's these random watch ones that actually had well, even the Toy Biz ones had a slightly different branding on them too. And then it's talking about the Fox Kids little cardboard sheet, the tear out ones. They had 9. We see a very young Jim Lee here. I think this is one of the promo ones here. I think in a minute they'll show the backings with the other things. So these are some sample things here. Top left, this is an unauthorized Philippines pack of cards for the X-Men cards. A vending machine sticker. This is one they overseas. They turn these cards into pogs. You can see like the perforation. You push it out to get the middle image. And then the bottom is actually an official licensed set in Japan here. And then they're saying, hey, later on we made collected books to blow the cards up into like the size of comic pages. They did 3 issues here to collect all the cards into comic book format. And then this is mentioning, hey, we used some of these images, retouched color, for variant covers recently. So yeah, so it looks like I missed the there's a thing basically on the Toy Biz ones and the watch ones. The backs were slightly different. Oh, here it is. Yeah, see the Toy Biz ones, they had a little Toy Biz mark on them, and then the watch ones had the Nail Sonic words on there. So now we get into the actual cards here. So what's cool about these cards too is these were pretty much used for source material for the X-Men cartoon show. So, and I mean, if you watched that show, it was very apparent that everything they were doing was heavily leaning off of the modern comics, what Jim Lee was doing. So, and I think that's kind of what gave that show so much juice. You know, it was one of the few superhero shows to actually respond with what was like actively going on in the books. And that helped a lot. You know, it was really exciting, especially if you were a kid and you had no idea of what was going on with those comics. Then you could just experience it through the show, which me, I wasn't allowed to read the comics at that particular moment because Jim Lee drew them rather, the women rather provocatively, and my mom was very protective. So it was nice to have the cartoon show where I could experience those stories and those characters. So yeah, the cards themselves, you know, they're pretty straightforward, and they've got this cool little power meter showing the different strengths of the characters and stuff like that. So we can see here, Wolfsbane's highest strength is her fighting ability, and then yeah, it just kind of goes on. Lockheed. Now, I don't think like a lot of these even made it into the show at all. I don't remember seeing Lockheed on the X-Men animated, but And then, yeah, Tom Brevoort was actually editing the cards at the time. And then they've got little footnotes on certain cards and stuff like that. This is Paul Mount says this is one of his favorite cards, the domino one here. And Paul says on this one, Jim didn't draw anything on the background. I painted in the clouds. So that was a thing too. So Jim Lee, like I said, he was still working, meeting his comic deadlines. And I think he was mostly on time with his comics still. But yeah, so initially this set was going to be close to 200 cards. And then they scaled it back to be just a little over 100. So yeah, you can certainly look here and see a lot of characters that aren't easily recognizable either. So that's the thing. A lot of these cards were just really from the ground up and establishing characters. So as soon as I say that, we get to more of the more notable characters. It looks like Cyclops and Gambit, stuff like that. Cable. So it looks like as far as a commentary, we're getting a lot from Brevoort as well as from Mounts here. So the colorist and the editor. Not a lot from Jim Lee here. Looks like Cable's fighting ability is way up there, huh? Archangel. Yeah, there's a lot of these guys. The paragraph is just kind of right in the middle, isn't it? And then I'm pretty sure that this is just Kitty Pryde. Yeah. Yeah, sure is. But yeah, I don't know. A lot of these characters kind of as a really obscure character is probably one of the cards in the set people look at now and go, who? Yeah, exactly. Jean Grey, yeah. So I always thought this costume was a little odd with the orange and the blue there. And then, like, they still used it for the cartoon too, but it looked slightly off. She almost looked a little bit naked, but she wasn't. It was just weird. And then, of course, being on a kid's show. So I think that was kind of a line they were a little bit dealing with. But, I mean, there's still lots of things in the cartoon that were a lot more provocative than even current stuff is allowed to show. Yeah, so Colossus Muscular looks solid and shiny. So yeah, it's talking about Jim Lee's ability to convey light and shadow and stuff on the form. So his strength is way up there, but still that Cable was literally right to the tip of that. Warpath. Polaris, I remember her when she appeared on the show. Had the whole team of them show up. Boom Boom. I think I remember her showing up too in that same episode, maybe. It's kind of like a big group of them all together. Jubilee. All of X-Force guys here. Strong Guy, I always thought was an interesting character. I couldn't quite wrap my mind around him as a kid. Just this huge torso, you know, his little tiny head with a little white hair on the top. And of course his strength is way up there. And Captain Britain, they show a lot of the Excalibur people. Forge. Multiple Man, yeah. Great rogue card here. Yeah, here's another obscure one. Widget was announced on Excalibur. He was a flying metal ball with a face. And yeah, it looks like he's really low on all this stuff. Cool bishop card there. Yeah, very early look at Bishop. He'd been around for a couple months when this was written, so they really tried their best to give you a little bit of understanding, but they don't know everything. Maverick? Oh, wow, his fighting ability is way up there. Remember her boss fight in one of the X-Men games? That's Sam Magneto car. Magneto's design goes back to the 60s. Just kind of gave him some more lines and things like that. And then I think the accents on the gloves and the boots, that's Jim Lee's doing. Mr. Sinister, his mental powers are way up there. There's Deadpool. The card comes off as more serious than the character would become, yeah. Not much is known about Deadpool's past or identity. It's rumored that he is yet another product of the top secret Weapon X project. Deadpool has proven to be one of the world's deadliest assassins and a world-class chatterbox. Well, you got a little of that still. Whenever he's on the attack, he always has something appropriately sinister to say. Oh, and the cards all have fun facts, too. So the extra fact, Deadpool has a long-standing association with the murderous Mr. Tulliver. And I think that's actually discussed in that first appearance, if I remember. And we have Proteus here. Report's saying it's a bonus because we got another card with a Wolverine on it. So Wolverine's very popular, obviously. Mojo 2, I don't think I've ever seen this form of Mojo. You know, I've always seen just a big blobby version with the spider legs. Juggernaut, yeah, he is not a mutant. He gets his powers from a Mystic Gem, a Cyttorak. And then Estree's way up there. Sentinels, they're also not a mutant either. Gideon also showed up in that New Mutants 98 with Deadpool. Mask. Shiva. I always thought this character had a different name. He's called the Silver Samurai, I thought. Yeah, I'm not reading that there. That's funny. I could have always sworn. You got Apocalypse, of course. I absolutely loved him when I was a kid. It's just a strange face. And the cartoon made him really interesting. This Apocalypse is an immortal mutant from ancient Egypt. If you're going to have a letter on his belt, it should have been an Egyptian hieroglyph, not a letter A. Yeah, I'd say Tom's correct there. But he was still awesome. I loved Apocalypse. So he's got quite a few peaks on his graph there. Sabretooth. And then he's way up there. His fighting ability, of course. Him and Wolverine are just kind of a perfect match for each other. Yeah, now see, here's the Mojo. I know. One of the few are actually airbrushed on the body. Says Paul Mounts there. Caliban, I vaguely remember, I think he showed up in maybe one episode of the show. Gatecrasher. Blob. Strife, okay, I think this is who I'm thinking of, honestly. But I know that's still Strife, so I don't know, I think, yeah. I don't know why the other guy's named what he was. Werewolves. I think those are kind of like attack dogs from What's-His-Face. Okay, by Mojo. Omega Red. I would love to see more stuff with Omega Red. I think we all would love to see more stuff with Omega Red. And that's what's so funny because, the show was so close to the comics. We have this huge following around Omega Red, even though he wasn't in that much stuff. Wrapping paper backgrounds I pasted in. So that's what Paul did here. So he's got a wrapping paper background, he said. That's interesting. Sauron, yeah. Toad, I thought it was always funny, like he had the frill thing for the longest time on his design. The Shadow King. Yeah, and his stuff is through the charts for his mental powers, I remember. The epic stuff. Kind of like the mindscape elements of the show. The White Queen. Emma Frost, yeah. Don't think the White Queen name has been used in 20 years. I think bring it back. It would be fine. Yeah, of course, her mental powers are through the roof, too. Mastermind. Yeah, and you can see, too, the cards are categorized by color as well. The villain's in the pink here and stuff. Deathbird. Fighting abilities way up there. And Lady Deathstrike. Remember the Captain America Reborn with her in it. It was awesome to me. There's the team shot here of the X-Men. So there's different teams. So you got Blue and Gold Squad. What's the difference? Nobody ever said. Sometimes the Gold team would go to fight evil mutants. Sometimes the Blue team would. Sometimes they'd congregate to fight evil mutants together, play basketball against each other, or just hang around the X mansion. So I honestly don't know which one is blue or gold. Every image in this call is drawn for the set. This was pulled from X-Men #1, he said. This team was featured in the new X-Men book that Jim Lee was illustrating. Roster would eventually star in the X-Men animated series that would debut a few months later, except Jean Grey and Storm would replace Psylocke. Yeah, I was about to say that didn't quite match up. Interesting. And then there's the same mansion there. We've got X Factor. We've got X-Force. And Excalibur, which this is the team I would say that I don't think I've actively ever picked up an Excalibur book. I mean, I know, these three characters here, but yeah, I haven't really checked out much in the way of Excalibur stuff. The Hellfire Club. Mutant Liberation Front. Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Although Magneto is not featured on there, that's interesting. I always considered him the leader of the Brotherhood. By this point, he had outgrown the need to have a band of flunkies. So it's sort of similar to when a lead singer of a band leaves and has a solo career. This is what's left behind. Yes, let's say it definitely needs Magneto on there. Upstarts. TechNet. X-Men. certain popularity but weren't currently in existing X books. Sunspot, yeah. Dark Phoenix. Wow, yeah, of course, she's way up there. Biggest threat probably in the X-Men stuff. Longshot. Magic, who's certainly grown more prevalent, I would say. Dazzler. The Starjammers. I remember those few episodes of the show really made me like them. The Imperial Guard. Same sort of thing. I remember when they fought him, and he's just kind of this overpowered guard. Landra. I thought some of her stuff here would be higher. I know Professor X was saddled with her for quite a bit. The Who. Roma. So now they moved on to allies here, it looks like. So the next bit here, these are the Danger Room cards. So these all link together and make a big old puzzle, like most trading card sets do, to kind of get you to buy all the cards. You gotta complete that puzzle, you know. Archangel, Storm. Gambit. Yeah, Professor X watching there. Wolverine. Shatterstar. Cyclops. Cable. And Colossus. And there's the checklist there. Power rating, so that's explaining all the cards' backs there. And then we have the nice holograms here. So I love that you can actually see the holograms, because that's always something tricky to capture on camera. There's Cable. Gambit. Magneto. There's the team, the X-Men there. And then that's the whole puzzle completed. And then, yeah, so there's a card of the shrunk down inside of the book. But this is just showing what the completed image looks like there. There's the checklist for marketing. And then there's the back of the pack. And then a thing to note too, there are actually signed Jim Lee cards inserted into the packs randomly as well. I believe I showed it towards the beginning. They showed a signed Wolverine card, I think. That one is a signed Jim Lee card there. So yeah, just a really cool set. Nice little walk down memory lane there. Even though I didn't personally own the cards, it's nice to have them all completed and collected in this nice little time capsule. So encourage you to find it. This is about $25. Check your local shop. If they don't have it, look elsewhere. But yeah, it's really great. So as always, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you want to see. And as always, you all have a super slumber. Thanks. Bye.